Yes, hello to you all once again. Welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV, the channel that brings you more of those old school vintage off-road classics from a way back in the day when, of course, the sport at that time was called scrambling and not motocross as we know it today. But if you're a brand new subscriber to CDB TV, then welcome aboard, and I hope you continue to find more interesting classics to take a look at here on my YouTube channel. So this next up and coming feature is a slightly shorter video than we normally post, but these are a couple of old Maicos that I came across at the Telford Classic Dirt Bike Show in 2024, but unfortunately at that time I didn't have time to post them on my usual Telford coverage. So we're going to put that to rights straight away, so let's dive right into that video and take a look at these couple of Norbert Van Dun twin shock classics. Okay, welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV, and in this very short video here we're going to take a look at a pair of iconic German Maicos, which are another two interesting machines from the Norbert Van Dun collection. And Norbert certainly has in his possession some of the rarest German Maicos from those historic decades of the 1970s and 1980s. Although if you're a regular visitor or even subscriber to my channel, then you'll surely have come across a few more examples from Norbert's collection in the past, and I'm hoping that maybe one day to make the journey over to Grobendonk in Belgium, which is Norbert's hometown, to film yet more of his fantastic bikes, because he does have some very historic machines with plenty, I'm sure, that will interest many of my YouTube subscribers. So this first bike here that we're going to take a look at may look quite familiar to some of you if you've followed motocross, especially in the early 1970s, and if you lived over there in the USA, because straight away with that iconic number 27 on the bike, you'll immediately associate this machine with the same bike that Swedish motocross racing star Ake Jonnsson rode to many race wins and successes while he was racing a Maico in the 1972 Trans AMA motocross series. Now, I'm pretty sure you already know that Ake Jonnsson was a Swedish-born professional motocross racer, and he was without doubt certainly up there with some of the best motocross racers during the late 1960s and early 70s. And actually, when he was a youngster, he was a very highly skilled speed skater before he later transitioned to motorcycle racing. But at first glance, this bike here could certainly pass as an Ake original, although our example here is actually a copy of the great Ake racer, and this one here was again built by Norbert Van Dun as a little tribute to that legendary Swedish racer. But Norbert certainly went to great lengths to make sure that this bike is as accurate as possible to the original, and items like this very rough, unfinished and welded screw hole here in the casing is said to be how this engine was back in the day. And it's also said that Ake also preferred these smooth oval type casings on his works engines, which were quite a common feature on these older 72 Maicos, and even some of the other original features like the bike's footrests are the self-same parts that the Swedish legend had fitted to his race bike. So you can see that Norbert's certainly done his Maico homework with regards all of the accuracy of this bike's movable parts. So these particular video clips here were taken at the 2024 Telford Classic Dirt Bike Show, and Norbert's Ake Jonnsson replica was causing quite a bit of interest over the course of the weekend, where it was sitting alongside a few other nice Maico specimens here on the Wolfsport stand. But here in the engine department, Norbert's made a full replica of the MC400 engine that Ake Jonnsson had in his factory bike in 1972, painted, of course, in black as it was back then. But the detail and the parts that Norbert's bolted onto this bike are more or less identical to the 72 original. And when it comes to Maicos, there's not really much that Norbert can't find or even manufacture for these German racers. So he's a very good source of knowledge and information if you're in the market for any of the great Maico manufacturers' history. And even here you can see that Norbert's done an identical paint job on the alloy fuel tank that the great Swede raced with in that year, complete of course with the proper Pro-Am sticker and the bell helmets and Maico champion graphics there on the side. And once more here at the front of the bike, it looks like we have the correct mudguards on the back and here at the front, which, if I'm not mistaken, are again made of fiberglass, which I think Ake did actually have on his bike back in 1972. So once more, this is another fantastic old Maico from Norbert's vast collection of German racers. Now, naturally, this is not the real Ake Jonnsson bike, but certainly well worthy of Norbert's bike building skills. And let's face it, who wouldn't want this example here sitting in their garage or workshop? Because I suspect that if you were a fan of the great Ake Jonnsson, then to own this little beauty here would surely be a fitting tribute to one of Sweden's greatest racers from a decade that had some of the best off-road racers of their time. Now, one of the other rare Maicos that I nearly missed at Telford this year was this fully stock original 1979 Neil Hudson factory 250 bike, which is yet another machine that's owned by Norbert. Now, I'm not entirely sure as to how many rare Maicos Norbert actually has in his collection, but judging by some of the bikes that I've seen in the past, he must have some serious pieces of Maico history tucked away in his private collection. But there's no question, you can take a look at this bike and you can see that this 250 looks like an original unblemished example that still has the 1979 plastics still bolted onto it, albeit they're a bit faded now after 45 years. But I do remember Norbert meeting up with Neil Hudson at the show, and he backed up that claim that this bike was indeed one of his old factory machines from that period. And if you look carefully, you can see that that rear brake pedal was the factory original, which was slightly different from the 79 production bike of its time. So again, another super rare historic motorcycle that has its own piece of history, and of course that connection with Neil Hudson, who, as I remember, I think finished in second position in the 250 Motocross World Championships in 1979. And again, I'm pretty sure that those gold alloy wheels are still the 79 Acront alloy wheels from its time, and as far as I know, the tyres could also be from that period. So you can see that he's a very lucky man indeed, our Belgian Maico collector, to be able to have some of these fine examples of off-road history to look at each and every day. And our Hudson factory bike is another rare gem indeed. And as I said, Norbert there on the right did have the chance for a chat with Neil Hudson on the day of the show, and no doubt Neil will have chatted and told Norbert about his days riding for the Maico factory back in that year. And as I said earlier, we may even pay a visit to Norbert in Belgium and maybe film a few of the many rare species of Maico memorabilia that he's got stashed away. So that's certainly a project to consider for the future. But in the meantime, this is another cracker of a bike that will be coming soon to my CDB TV channel, and this is a rare liquid-cooled KTM 125 that we'll be taking a very close look at in another feature here on CDB TV. But as I said, that was a slightly shorter video than our usual postings, but I still hope that you enjoyed it. So until the next time, and don't forget to come back or even subscribe to my channel. But either way, thanks for watching.